Diolch Llywydd. Pa drafodaethau fydd Llywodraeth Cymru ni cynnal gyda'r awdurdodau perthnasol ynglŷn i'r newyddion tragic bod cyrff 39 o bobl wedi darganfod mewn cynhwysydd lori yn Essex ar ôl iddyn nhw ddod I mewn i'r Deyrnas Unedig drwy Gaergybi?
Llywydd, I'd like to begin by putting on the record the thoughts of myself and the entire Welsh Government. Our thoughts are with the families who are suffering truly horrific news today. You'll understand that I don't have all of the details of this terrible incident, and I think it is right and proper that a full police investigation takes place into the incident. Suffice to say that as a Welsh Government, we will of course play our full and collaborative part in that investigation relating to our areas of responsibility in any passage that the vehicle involved may have made through Wales.
Diolch am yr ymateb yna. Weinidog mae hwn yn achos sy'n torri calon bod 39 o bobl wedi teimlo'r angen I roi bywydau mewn peryg fel hyn a bod y 39 wedi colli I bywydau mewn ffordd mor erchyll. Mae'n hyd yn deimlad yna efo nhw a'i teuluoedd waith pa mor bell o gartre mae rhywun yn colli bywyd yr un ydy'r galar. Mae yna lawer o gwestiynau yn codi o hyn, cwestiynau dyngarol yn sicr am pam bod yr unigolion wedi cael ei gyrru I gymryd y cam yma, ond mae yna gwestiynau ymarferol yn codi hefyd wrth gwrs. What we need to do immediately, I think, is to start to ask some of the practical questions about how and why. These questions need to be asked alongside the police investigations that clearly will be beginning immediately. How is it that this lorry was able to pass through Holyhead undetected in this way? Why did those on board or others associated with this tragedy decide that Dublin Holyhead was to be the chosen crossing? I've heard people complain that somehow EU membership was to blame for Holyhead being a rather too open border. Let me say that decisions to cut jobs over the years at Holyhead have been nothing to do with the EU and far predate any discussions on Brexit. They've been about cuts and austerity and nothing else. So what assurances have you sought, Minister, about the level of border control staffing at Holyhead, including a lack of permanent immigration enforcement officers? I and others like the Police and Crime Commissioner for North Wales Police, Arfon Jones, have long raised concerns about fears of a lack of border resources at Holyhead. The Commissioner got a response from the Home Office when he pursued this, saying the government is aware of the vulnerabilities of the common travel area. Aware, perhaps, but what did they do about it in terms of increasing resource? Alex Carlile, QC, when he was a reviewer of anti-terror legislation, was raising issues around border policies, border policing and anti-terror measures at Holyhead 20 years ago. In so many ways, Holyhead is being overlooked as a port, I fear. Whilst Dover is firmly on the agenda as the UK's busiest roll-on, roll-off ferry, Holyhead seems ignored as the second busiest, with about 400,000 lorries passing through annually. This is not acceptable either in the context of Brexit and the ignoring of Holyhead in the Yellowhammer document, for example, or now in the context of immigration and this tragic loss of human life. As we know, it's thought that the lorry came from Bulgaria and arrived in Wales on Saturday in Holyhead. Seamus Lahini, Northern Ireland Policy Manager for the Freight Transport Association, is quoted by the Press Association today saying if the lorry came from Bulgaria, as we believe it did, getting into Britain via Holyhead is an unorthodox route. He went on to say people have been saying that security and checks have been increased at places like Dover and Calais, so it might be seen as an easier way to get in by going from Cherbourg or Roscoff over to Rosslare than up the road to Dublin. It's a long way around, he said, and it'll add an extra day to the journey. The question I think we need to ask is, has a lack of resource put in by the Home Office in Holyhead made our port vulnerable and in so doing added to the already significant vulnerability of these 39 who have now been found dead? I spoke with one Holyhead councillor earlier today, Councillor Trevor Lloyd. He was about how he too had been raising these concerns for some time. will you join him and me in inviting Home Office ministers to Holyhead to see for themselves why this port needs real investment, and to impress on the Home Office the prioritisation that Holyhead deserves as Wales's busiest and the UK's second busiest roll-on roll-off ferry port?
Can I thank Rhun ap Iorwerth for his questions? Of course, we will be inviting Home Office ministers to Holyhead Port. Is the port vulnerable? Well, let's allow the investigators to answer that following a thorough inquiry into what's happened. But I can say that from my experience, there is no lack of professionalism at Holyhead with border security. Whether there is a question about capacity, well, let's let the investigators look closely into that. And I think Rhun ap Iorwerth raises a very serious question of why did 39 people apparently feel the need to put their lives at risk? I do hope that we take time just to acknowledge the terrible loss of life and the damage that this is causing to many families. We don't know where yet. We don't know their identities. We don't know whether they were indeed from Bulgaria. But I would say this, sometimes it's easy for us to talk about borders in abstract and artificial ways, but the reality is that borders and the arrangements at them are also about people. They are about human lives. And we should, I think, never forget the grave seriousness and the tragic human costs that can occur at those points of crossing. We saw back in 2000 a significant number of lives lost again when more than 50 people, I believe it was, suffocated in the back of a lorry and were discovered in Dover. Numerous people have died in lorries since, and I think we should reflect on the reasons why, most often because people are escaping from appalling conditions. Clywys, I don't wish to speculate on the reasons why the lorry appears to have entered the UK through Holyhead. I know that there are certain comments being made by transport experts about it being an unorthodox route if it was found that the lorry went through Cherbourg to Rosslare, then up to Dublin. I really do feel that it's right and proper that the police should investigate the circumstances surrounding this absolute tragedy.